Hello, my crafty friends, and welcome to another Assemble This video. Today, we're going to be getting a little bit messy with some Distress Oxide inks and then stamping with some Lunar Paste. It's going to be fun to create this inky background. So I hope you'll stick around and assemble this card with me. Now I'm going to be working on a glass mat and I'm placing down some Distress Oxide ink in speckled egg and doing some ink smushing. If you don't have a glass mat, it's not a big deal. Just use maybe like a laminated piece of paper or a craft mat, something like that, that you can put the ink down, wet it with some water, and then you'll want to smush your paper into that wet ink. I did a layer of the speckled egg, and now I'm going to add in a little bit of the broken china to kind of deepen and layer up those blues. I am using watercolor paper. It's really important to use a nice paper that can handle all the ink that we're using today. It also will move easier on that paper, so you don't really want to use cardstock unless you're going for that look. Watercolor paper will just help that ink blend and move more like watercolor. Now I'm going to mix two more colors. After I dried that panel, I'll mix in some shabby shutters and dried marigold and just tap on that ink right on top of the blues. What's lovely is the oxides do layer on top of each other. If they're dry, if they're wet, they tend to mix and mingle, which is a totally different look and fun to play with. Now I'm done layering all my ink smushing and this panel is completely dry. Now I'm going to add in some stamped elements. This is from the Winged and Free stamp set from Unity Stamp Company. It's just a fun background texture. I'm just going to stamp these in a random pattern using three of the colors that I used in the background. So broken china, shabby shutters, and then also the dried marigold. And that just kind of builds some texture on top of that ink smushing. It also kind of mimics the colors and brightens them up a little bit. So it gives your eye a little bit more to look at. And it's just kind of, again, fun to play with. So once all that stamping was done, I'm going to do just one last layer of ink smushing with hickory smoke. This is going to just kind of blend everything together for me. It'll kind of reactivate some of that stamping and blend it into the background just a little bit more. And then again, I'm going to give this a nice dry with my heat tool. And then we'll move on to our next step, which is stamping with Lunar Paste. This is really fun because not only do you get the pattern from the stamp, but you also get a little bit of shine from that Lunar Paste. So I'm using a foam blending tool to apply the Lunar Paste over the stamp, just a light tapping motion so I get a nice even coverage of the paste over the entire background. And then I'm going to flip it over and lay it right on top of my background. And then I'm using my pressure tool. I'm just again tapping and moving it around so I get a nice even pressure of that stamp onto my panel. And then I just removed it. And it leaves like a really distressed, shiny impression. I'm going to set that aside and let it dry completely and then work on stamping my other elements. I am stamping on pattern paper from Unity Stamp Company. Those colors just matched really well with my background. And then once everything was dry, I'm going to add some splatters over the top and then fussy cut out that butterfly. So all my elements are ready to go. I picked a really pretty teal cardstock for the base of my card. I just thought it really made everything pop. I'm going to be working with it as a card front and eventually I'll put this on a card when I'm ready to mail it out. I'm just going to tear off both sides of this background. Again, I really like that textured edge and that whiteness kind of helps separate our stamped background against that solid cardstock. And then I'm just going to glue this straight down in the center of my panel. And then once I was happy with that, I die cut a scalloped circle for my stamped panel in vellum, and then I'm just going to glue that down on the front of the card. I only put the glue right in the center because then this panel is going to hide that glue and we don't see it through the vellum. And then I'll pop up my stamp panel right in the center so we have a little bit of dimension but not too much bulk in case I want to mail this. And then I'm going to fold up the sides of the butterfly's wings so I get a base, and then I'll add some glue to the body and then I'll glue that down right above the flowers on the side here. Now when you mail this, those wings do go flat and then they can be fluffed up once the person opens up the card. And then last, just again to pull in that background color, I grabbed a few enamel dots and put them on the front of the card. And that kind of finished everything off for me. And here is the final look of this fun inky background that's been stamped with Lunar Paste for a little bit of shine and just a little bit of dimension from that popped up butterfly. As always, I will have all the supplies linked in the description of this video, and if you have any questions or sweet comment, post below. Thanks again so much for joining me today. I hope you were inspired to give it a go. If you do, please link me on social media or let me know. I would love to see. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye.